Yeah, no, Lifshitz.
Easy Lipschitz, the guy with the beard, you know him?
Long beard, of course.
Yeah, so he gave us this, so he wanted to come himself, he said he's going to teach children how to take interviews,
Yeah.
so they could post this thing in a movie,
Yeah.
and then you'll be the famous guy
Oh.
in the movie. Moshe, tell Mr. Segal why we're doing this project.
So, today I came to your house because you're one of the survivors from the Holocaust, and the people who survived the Holocaust are disappearing. So I decided to gather these people who I and my friends personally know that survived the Holocaust and film a movie that would tell their stories. So they will be talking about their lives and how hard it was to survive during the time of the Holocaust. Some people, like the Iranian president Muhammad Ahmadinejad, thank you, spread ideas that the Holocaust never happened. So as the answer to them, we decided to create a project called Project Eisenhower and to record undeniable facts that happened to the people who still live around us. We ask every school student to do the same, to interview survivors and post their stories on our website, www.projecteisenhower.com. Alright, so here are some questions that I wanted to ask you.
Okay.
How old were you when the war started?
I was in 22.
You're 22 years old.
Yeah.
How did you find out the war started?
It was first started in 1939 when the Russian came in to us, and then in 1941 then the German came in, and the German came in to us and started killing Jews, and then they were very bad to the prisoner from the Soviet Union, and they started killing them. So then they organized to have partisans, study partisans. Little by little, we get bigger and bigger. And then in May 1942, I escaped as a partisan and started fighting with them.
Alright, where were you when the war started?
At that time I was in a little town, Ivenitz. It's called, it's not far from Minsk. And
Belarus, no? Was it Belarus or it was Poland?
No, it was Belarus.
It was Belarus.
Yeah. And then you asked me what? You asked me
Where
well,
yeah,
I was in a little town, Ivenitz, not far from Minsk, and then they took us, the German, to kill all the older people, the younger people who could work. They took us to Novogrodek, it's called a little town, and from all the surrounding people they put in there. And of course it was very bad, we didn't have nothing what to eat. So when we escaped in partisan, this was in May 1922.
How did you manage to live?
To live?
Through the whole war?
Well, the whole war we managed to live. First of all, we were fighting almost every day with the German, and we get bigger and bigger. And then from one atat, it was calling. You know what atat means?
Cut?
One atat.
No.
Atat.
Atriad.
Yeah,
Okay. So they formed a group.
Yeah, it's a group.
It's a military group, like military formation.
And get
Partisans.
bigger. And we got bigger and bigger. And then from little by little we had already a lot of people. It was close to 200,000 men, but 100,000 was killed. And we used to fight with the German. And food we used to take from we wasn't allowed to take food where we used to stay in the woods. so we had to go close to the German. And there we used to get food, and we had food. The only thing that one time they was calling our brothers, they was fighting with us and went into the woods, the German. So for 8 days, I was there and another 3 partisans with me. And we didn't have for 8 days. We didn't eat no food except the water was standing, and it was like like shaking water there, and we had the water from there.
From the
And
swamp.
we survived, yeah, and we survived for 8 days.
Did anyone in your family survive the Holocaust?
For my family, most of them was killed, of course, but the only thing who survived is my sister, and that's all. The sister, and that's all. The rest was killed.
Did you fight in battles against Nazi most of the time?
Yeah, we were fighting a lot of them, because I was the one who put dynamite under the trains. I used to kill one time. They had a fight. We put under the train, and was killed maybe about 300 German, and was wounded, a lot of wounded. Yeah, it was hearing all over the Europe this accident.
Mm-hmm. Did you get sick or almost starve to death, and how did you manage to live through this sickness?
Well, sick, of course, you get sick, but you have to fight. You want to, if you want to survive, so the sickness at that time was young, and young you can get over everything.
Did you try to hide from the Nazis?
No, we were going with them, fighting with them, and we was killing the Nazis. They were a group. We used to go out. What?
Did you succeed?
They used to blow the bridges, blow the trains.
Train. And not only this, we were fighting wherever they are. We used to go to catch. They were afraid for us. We didn't afraid for them.
Very good.
Did any of your friends join the Nazis?
Yeah, well, the Nazis?
Yeah, no, non-Jewish friends.
No.
We used to be friends with Russians and others who joined the Nazis. No,
No.
In your
Except
Polizei.
Vlasov and General Vlasov and what's the second
Some
name?
of the people they joined the Vlasov. The people who used to be in your village, let's say, they became Polizei. They joined the Vlasov army.
No,
the people
no,
used
no,
to know, no?
Not Arlington. No.
Not in his village.
No, not really.
They were good people there.
So, did you, what was the name of your army that was called?
Yeah, sure. I was in Zhukovsky Brigade,
Жуковская бригада.
Kalininski Otrad.
Калининский отряд. And they used to operate in the Belarusia, right? In the forest where they operate in forest.
Yeah, Belarus.
What was your position in the army?
I used to put dynamite under the trains.
So you weren't a general, you were just a
He
plain
used to just
soldier?
blow up the trains.
How, if the Nazis caught one of your people, where would the Nazis take them?
If the Nazis would catch our people, yes, they would kill them right away.
When you were in the Holocaust, what did you think about when you were afraid?
When I wasn't there. What do you mean, how?
Say it
Like
again.
in the war, like when you were fighting
We weren't afraid for our life.
So were you afraid of anything? Like what was on your mind?
What you were thinking?
I know. I wanted to take revenge.
Because they killed his parents, they killed his brother, sister, so he took revenge. So he said his mission was to kill the
I didn't
more
care about
Nazis
my
as possible.
wife.
He didn't care about his wife.
So did you see any of your family members being taken away right in front of you?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so my little niece was killed in Crete. I saw one German holding one little Jewish child, like maybe even not a year, and the other one was shooting them. I saw a lot of things.
How did your parents die during the Holocaust? They took them to camps?
My father died when I was 9 years old, but my mother was escaped with my younger sister and my nephew, and she was killed, I know very well.
When you were there at the time of the Holocaust, did the Nazis ever were close to catching you, like almost killed you, and you escaped them?
When you're fighting with the Nazis, your life is in danger all the time. Of course, it was incidents. We were very close with them, but we killed them alive.
After the Holocaust finished, where did you go?
After the Holocaust finished, we came in Evie, it was called a little town. This is my wife's town. And I was working in Bankomat. It's called the Bankomat is
like a Ministry of Defense.
No, they take it to the army.
A drafting center for the...
I was working there, and then they let out all the Polish people, whoever was born in Poland, to go to Poland. And we went to Poland, and from there we wanted to go to Israel. Of course, I had 2 children, so I couldn't go to Israel, so we came here.
To America?
Yeah.
So thank you for all your help, for making us teach children about the Holocaust,
You're welcome.
and hope to see you for much more years.
Amen.
Amen.
Very good.
Bye.
They are
And
called?
you could all
No,
listen,
we would
you
like
could all
to... Your
vi-
wife is home. She can talk a little bit. Your wife can talk a little bit.
Yeah, you can. Rachel, go call my wife. She's out in the bedroom.
Yes, ask Miss Segal to come here. Go ask Miss
Go
Segal. Go knock on
upstairs.
it. Yeah, go together.
So, wait.
Maybe you'll tell them one story about...
She'll tell you what.
you want to tell them some interesting story what happened to you during war?
During the war,
Upstairs, go
if I would tell you the whole thing, we have to sit about a couple weeks at least, maybe more. Well, I saved a lot of Jewish people. I took them in partisans. I saved my whole family, my wife's whole family. I took them in, everybody to the partisans. I did a lot of good things for her.
So, what did you ever help people get out of the camps?
I didn't help to go out for the camp, but I helped to bring them into the partisans. Wherever I saw some
So they
Jewish
shouldn't
people
go in the camp.
used to go into the partisans. And we used to help Bereskes, was Atrat, Bereskes Jewish Atrat. We used to, after we had a mission, so we used to go in there and bring a lot of food for the people because they didn't have, 1,200 people, and very little with rifles, so we helped them a lot.
What was your last war against the Nazis?
What?
Your last war, like when was it? Where was it? The last war against the Nazis.
In '94 for July or August 1944. There was about 2 years we were in the partisans.
So did you win in the last fight?
The what?
Did you win
It's
against?
It's not because it's not from winning. It's about surviving and killing the Germans. It has nothing to do with winning.
So did you conquer a lot of Nazi lands?
No, we're not looking for land. We were looking for the Nazis to kill them. The land they could keep.
You killed every German or
Not
only the men?
you think German was a lot, and you can kill every German. But we killed whoever fighting. So
Like whoever you saw in the town, did you kill like every child and woman or only
There
the
was no
men?
children. There was
we
army.
didn't kill. We killed only German soldiers.
So
All
you
the
didn't
time.
go into towns and like kill the Nazis in there? No.
No. We didn't go to.
So you were always like in a forest and fighting with them there?
We were no. We used to go to them in the villages where they are, because that time we became very big. We were, like I said before, we were in the past about 200,000, and as we left the woods, it was 100,000. 100,000 was killed.
So during the war, 100,000 people in the partisans died?
Yeah, but 100,000 was killed. That didn't die, they were killed by the German.
So you want to tell them about some interesting story what happened to you?
Well,
you want to tell them about some interesting story what happened to you? If you remember some episode?
Yeah, I remember one time we were fighting like this, calling Yatovich village, and we were sitting there for 2 days, and nobody, no Nazi came to the village, and we were only close to 100 men there sitting on watching, and then all of a sudden some partisan came and said that no, sit, I'll move. I'll move a chair. And then it came in. She said that it's coming German. They're coming towards us. So we took their positions, and then one partisan, when the first truck came in, he shot right in the engine, and the engine started burning, and everybody was escaping from the
Train?
from the trucks. Whatever there was a lot of German and Polish people, like police.
Truck convoy.
And then one our partisan went and shoot at them, so they killed him, and he was laying on the road. So me and another guy the commander told us to bring him back, so we went to take him back, and the Germans said, "The whole partisans are shooting at us." So we just took the rifle, went down, and then we came back in village. And then we had to go back, but they put a gun over our head and shooting. The Germans shouldn't do to us nothing. And we went on the stomach, just calling to get him. We got him. And
what kind of weapons did you have?
We had weapons.
Rifles.
They came in rifles or machine guns. They came from Soviet Union. They bring us with airplanes in the woods. We made like a
Did you only fight on foot, or you also fought in like big trucks?
No, we didn't have big trucks. Horses or by foot. And then we went and we got him. And after this, they said we should make offensive. We should go fight with them. And we got 3 German alive, and Nazis. And help police. We got. And then when we got them, so the commander asked me if I can speak German. I said, no, I can speak. I'm Jewish, but not German. So I went over to the German. I told him that I'm a Jew, and I'll do to you what it does. You're lucky. And then I took a little knife, and I cut him, and I put salt in his arm. And he should have asked me, no, I didn't do nothing, then we killed them. So, not only to take that, like I said before, to tell you every little thing, we have to be a couple of weeks. I can't tell you not for 2.5 years what's happening 1 minute.
Make it, tell just the big things, not every little thing.
Okay.
So now it's your turn then, you tell them.
It's the you tell. You tell them something, what's
No, but the interview.
Why? No,
Yeah.
you also
Yeah,
survived.
you
No?
see.
Everybody who survived.
What do you want?
Yeah,
He didn't ask me anything.
Why? This Miss Segal also
So-
survived this Holocaust, right?
So right now we are here because the people of the Holocaust are disappearing. So I decided to gather these people who I and my friends personally know that survived the Holocaust and film a movie that would tell their stories. So that we will be talking about their lives and how hard it was to survive during the Holocaust. Some people, like the Iranian president Muhammad Ahmadinejad, spread ideas of that the Holocaust never happened. So as the answer to them, we decided to create a project called Project Eisenhower, and to record undeniable facts that happened to people who still live around us. We ask every school student to do the same thing, to interview survivors and post their stories on our website, www.projecteisenhower.com. Alright, so here are some questions that I want to ask you. And the first one is, how old were you when the war started?
I was 19.
You were 19.
Yeah. And I
How,
studied in a school for nurses. And when when the war started, the first day, it was a Sunday, June 20, 1941. And I lived in far away from home, in a different city, lived by my uncle, and when I heard on the radio, all medical personnel should go right away, and the students everywhere. So I went right away to the clinic and I was assigned to ambulance, and the bombs were falling just, and we had to pick up the wounded until we came to somebody. It was nobody to pick up. They were bombing without a stop. And what I saw in that day, people don't see in a lifetime. Yeah, okay. The next day the Nazis were here already. Of course, the Nazis started. I went to school in a different city.
so where were you when the war started?
I was in the city. The city's name is Slonim, where I went to school for nursing school. So when they started right away, the Nazis were there right away next day, and we were all assigned to work in the hospitals and the clinic. Everything was
For the Nazis?
Well,
You worked for the Nazis there?
no, it never. Later on, from the ghetto, I worked not for Nazis, but the Nazis were there already. I worked. It was still. The Nazis. The next day, the Nazis were there.
So how did you manage to live?
How did I manage?
How did you manage to live through the whole entire war?
Okay. First, I got home somehow from Slonim to where we lived. It was in the same vicinity where Ruben lived. And when I came there, the Nazis were there, so I was working a little bit I was working in the clinic. First, it was a mass killing, and it was only the one nurse there, and she was killed. So they assigned me to work in the ghetto in the clinic. So we were in the ghetto working, and we went through a few mass killings, and then. Just a minute, I have to concentrate a little bit. And okay, just 1 minute.
I find you.
What?
When I went in your village, and you told me your
Oh,
life.
No, she didn't get to it.
All the little things. Okay, so we were there. Then it was again a mass killing, and then Ruben was already at that time he was already escaped from a different ghetto, and he was into the woods to join the Russian underground, the partisans.
The mass killing, they just took people on the street and they just shoot them? What was the mass killing?
No.
What they did?
What?
A mass killing. They used to dig holes, and then they took the people and they start shooting
Oh,
them.
they killed
They
sure.
killed in the graves.
For
You
3
know, one
days.
big grave.
For 3 days, they surrounded the ghetto. Nobody was allowed. It was a curfew. Nobody in or without.
So no one could dig a hole and go out, or the Nazis surrounded the whole entire.
Ghetto was
The whole ghetto, and then on the 4th day, and meanwhile they took some men to dig ditches. I'm telling now about this. These were killings before too, and then they surrounded everybody in the marketplace with machine guns around, and after a few hours, everybody was sitting on the knees. Everybody from the ghetto, and in the ghetto already were people from different towns. They all brought board in one place. It should be easier for them. So then they made a selection. They told everybody to go. In one street, at the end of the street was a church, like to the church, and then in one place they put people to the left and to the right and straight. Straight was to the ditches. And we had to be on our knees, and we didn't know what we're waiting, and then we heard a lot.
So first they killed sick people. What did they? When they said right, left, they took first young people, old people.
The
Sick.
left
Doesn't
and the
matter.
right was for to be alive meanwhile, but we didn't know. And straight was to the ditches right away. They shot this day more than 3,000 people.
What was the name of the ghetto?
What?
What was the name? Ivy.
And after this, they put the real ghetto, which is you couldn't go out, you couldn't get out. And then we were working a little bit. He was already escaped to the underground, and we had contact through people. We had contact through our people where we lived before the war, neighbors, gentle people, very nice people. And then the last liquidation of the ghetto where I lived, Ivia, he was in a different ghetto. The end of December 31st, the whole ghetto was liquidated. And when we were already surrounded, we gathered a few of our friends, gathered in somebody's basement. And from the basement, these people, they made a hole to get out. It was snowing outside. We camouflaged with white sheets because it was a lot of snow, and we crawled. When the guards were away, we crawled over the street and out, and we crawled for a while until they can see us, and then we escaped. And he was already there, so then we joined the underground group where he was.
Did anyone in your family manage to live through the Holocaust?
My immediate family, my father, mother, and the children were the only one who survived after the war. Survived after the liberation, after everything.
From the whole village.
We were the only one. So.
From the whole town, they are the only family.
A whole family, father, mother, and children. But my aunts, in this killing, I had aunts and uncles and cousins. Everybody was killed.
So, what was your what was your place in the partisans? Like,
What is this?
When you were in
Underground?
partisans, what did you do there? You
I was a
personally?
nurse there.
You was a nurse.
And I also went with everybody for missions more, but I worked in a hospital. And the hospital was a bunker. It wasn't a real hut, but we did everything.
When did you meet your
Mr. Segal.
husband?
My husband, we knew each other since I was 10 and he was 12.
So were you married right there and then? In the partisans, yeah? So you had a big wedding? A lot of
Oh
guests?
yeah,
Yeah,
very
but-
big wedding. Yeah.
Yeah. And he was still learning in the yeshiva there in my town because his father died when he was 9. So, and his grandmother lived where we lived, and his mother's whole family. So he went to yeshiva there. But we joined the Zionist movement. We were together in the same group. Beitar, do you know what it is? He doesn't know. You know what Beitar?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
So how long were you in the partisans for?
About
2.5. Close to 2.5.
2.5?
Close.
Almost 3 years. And we were with the Russian partisans. We didn't waste any time. We were fighting every day.
So you want to tell them one story about the fight? One fight, tell them something? You remember any
Yeah,
story?
I told my grandson I was a soldier. He said, "No, but my great grandson."
He asked you if something you could tell him,
Story.
something was happening.
Don't shake.
Something would happen where?
No, one story, you know, what you remember, you know, like one story.
Huh?
What happened to you in the partisans? One story that you remember. What happened to you there? One story, you know, something.
What happened?
He asked you one story, tell him what's happened to you when you were in the partisans. A story.
Yeah, why don't you tell the story? Yours.
I told him this story.
What did you tell?
What?
What did you tell?
I told him in Yatovich when I was fighting,
Yeah.
and then when I went on the train, a lot of
You are
people
finally
were killed.
fighting. We went once in one day
One night.
from the whole White Russia, from the whole area, every part, all they went. We used to put dynamite under the rails. So this time, in the same night, all over, so the Nazis can get to the front with the supplies and everything. Did a lot. Every day was another thing to do. But it was organized like a real Russian army. Yeah.
Army.
We had the Russian former prisoners of war. They organized, and it was like at the end already. It was with the discipline just like an army. Every morning they used to take us out and read the news for us. What's going on the front? Of course, I didn't know that after the war we'll find somebody Jewish alive. We couldn't imagine that.
One time we're going to a mission, and we saw a little boy is running away. So we were after him, we caught him, and he was afraid, so we thought we were Jews, and they said his name is
Maxim.
Maxim.
Max, probably. Maxim.
Maxim, and we weren't allowed to take in any children in our
In our unit,
In
we're
our
only
unit.
fighting men.
but we took him in,
Not real
and my
ladies.
wife used to take care of him. And then when I had to go, then the airplanes from Moscow used to come down in the woods, because they had like a air dome, a little bit, you know, we made from woods to be able to land it. And I took him back. We took him back to Moscow. Maybe it's all right or not, I
But
don't know.
first they brought him
Yes.
to the place.
And then another little boy was hiding by the Christian. So somehow they
His
told
name
me,
was Benjamin.
somehow
he's
they
alive.
told me that he's in danger. So I took my brother-in-law, we went in the village, home and got killed from the German, and we brought him back, and he's now in Israel.
Yeah, he's
At that time he
alive.
was
Who,
about
Max?
9 years old.
Benjamin.
Max is in Israel, and this is Benjamin.
No, this is Benjamin.
Benjamin.
And Max, I don't know where. But first he was so sick when they brought him. You could count every rib bone in him. And I took the responsibility because children are not allowed. They said, I'll take care of him in the hospital, in the bunker where the hospital is. and got a little better. And then at the very end of the war, when Russian airplanes used to come, land in the big forest, it's like a jungle, not just a forest. They used to land, bring ammunition and take away the very, very severe wounded. Yeah, a friend of ours was wounded in abdominal wounds, and I don't know if we would be able to save him in there, but he was also sent back to Moscow, and he survived the war. He lived in Israel, but he passed away already.
So what do you think?
That was Hanan.
So what do you think our answer should be to people like Ahmadinejad who said it never happened, it's all lies, Jews made up this thing?
Well, is there witnesses?
There's still
What he's saying
alive
alive is still
witnesses.
alive, not much. Most of them are dead. But there's still witnesses who
And that's what
survived
I
this
tell you,
over there.
it's a zero. There's a lot more.
Let him go to the camp in Auschwitz, a lot of us there, so he'll take a look, he'll see the names and everything.
My son wrote a book about us.
He knows he was here.
And this is also not, whenever he interviewed us, I think I told him then when he left, oh, if we forgot this, we forgot a lot of things.
I went in the woods and I saw a Jewish guy which I knew him. He went winter without shoes, without boots, without nothing. So I gave him my boots. He should put it on to see if it's bigger than my foot, of course it was bigger. And I got him a pair of shoes. He said, "His shoes I'll never forget."
And he helped a lot
See,
of Jewish.
I can't tell you, like I said before, in 2 minutes, the whole almost 2.5 years in Partisan. We were fighters, of course. I didn't care about my life at all.
Do you expect any Jews to be alive after you went out?
We never knew that the Jews, because once we were only 10 people, 120 Russian.
A lot
And
of
the
Russian
brigade
Jews.
was over 1,000, was maybe about 20 Jewish people. But one time I went to a mission and I saw 2 little girls going in the village. And I saw they looked like Jewish. So I went down from the horse, I was going on the horse and I said, "Are you Jewish again? What are you doing here?" She said, "We're looking for potato, for bread." And I went to ask for a little bread by the Christian, and she said they haven't got. So I went into the same thing, and to the same people, and I said, "Listen, I'll bring you back more than you gave it to me, whatever you have given it to
Talking
me."
about Henya.
What?
Henya.
No.
Who?
Henny David, she's in Canada.
Oh, I know.
And then she said there's a lot of Jews here.
Okay.
So
it was a Jewish
I
union.
went in the I was there
Jewish
with the
union.
camp in Belskin, and I saw a lot of what from my town. I saw a lot of people. I started crying. I never thought. No.
So in the beginning they were just the Belsky brothers. They have a movie now they made. And the movie is
Defiance.
Yeah.
There's a lot of life there.
yeah, so in the beginning, like, they can't make a movie just exactly,
Okay.
then nobody would watch it.
Okay.
So they made a real Jewish wedding with a chuppah. It wasn't really a how could you do it there? But in the movie they had to make.
They didn't have nothing what to eat, so this way it is.
So in the beginning the Belsky brothers were just a small group, and then they grew into, and they saved, after the liberation, in his brigade came about 1,200 Jewish people alive. So you saved, but they died already. Belskis also.
You met them here, right? Also, you met them here in
we
the
met
harbor.
him. Yeah, yeah. He was in Israel and he came here. We met him. Yeah. I met him. I saw him over there. He used to bring a lot of food. Me and David Plotnik was Jewish guys who went in the
What
village.
else they want to ask?
Just nothing else.
Oh,
Nothing else. So we're trying to document the fact that yes, people went through the Holocaust, in order to deny what people saying now. A lot of them that never happened. That's the whole idea behind this project. We ask other children to participate and go to their neighbors and to try to film them and to take interviews, so that anybody who out there can go out and look that that's really happened, and it's not just a story. That's what
There's still witnesses.
there's still witnesses.
Yeah.
Thank you so much
You're
for your time. It was a
You're
pleasure.
Thank you.
God willing, have many more years to come. So
Thank
you can
you. I hope so.
come and see you again and again and again on good occasions. Thank you so much.
When you're going down, I need you for a second to wait if one of these, to wait my
Put on